Hi, this is David Odell with Odell Complete Concrete. What we're going to do here today is add on to this driveway. The existing driveway is pretty standard. It's about 8 feet wide. In other words, you can't exit the vehicle on either side and then get out on concrete. So adding concrete to something like this is real popular. So you can get out of the vehicle on concrete and walk into the front door. We're going to add an additional 8 feet here, so our total now is going to be 16 feet. Not quite big enough for 2 cars to exit on both sides onto concrete, but you can definitely get out on one side or the other depending how you park it. In this particular add-on, the person I'm working for here is a retired inspector for the city of LA, I believe it was. And he's calling out, he designed his own specs on this one. He's calling out for a 6-inch deep concrete he's going with a 3250 PSI straight cement, and also he's going to go with wire mesh. Typically, I don't really put wire mesh in stuff. You go with rebar, but he likes the wire mesh. And then also, we're not going to dowel into the existing driveway. We're just going to go 6 inches deep. So this is a little different design than what I usually do. But I have done these, and normally where you do this particular scenario, but without the wire, would be probably an apron approach, which is public works area. You go 6 inches, and then you go the big rock, and you go the 25, or you go 3250. One or the other. Some cities, each one specs a different PSI. I have no idea why. Soil conditions most likely vary city to city a little bit here and there. So we had this all dug out in about and formed. We had it all set up and ready to pour in about 4 hours. Just the 3 of us. The existing driveway was sloping to the street pretty good. So we're going to slightly slope this addition towards the existing driveway, and then the water should run out the approach. The reason we're stopping the concrete at this point is because beyond this point is public works. In other words, if we go pour out there, we probably have to get a permit, and then it may or may not be, they may not let us do it. So we're just going to stop the concrete there, and then in the future, if they're going to do some work over there, they can without disrupting the concrete. This particular dirt was pretty hard. You can see we're using the electric jackhammer in here with a clay spade on it, and that breaks it up pretty nicely. We're taking this dirt out in chunks, kind of breaking kind of like concrete would break. Nice pieces you could actually pick up by hand and throw them in the wheelbarrow. So we have our line stakes out, and they're 8 feet off of the concrete on either end, and they're set to the inside of the form. That way when my line's pulled, it doesn't interfere with the stakes, and also my 2x4 can run past the line stakes without interrupting those as well. You can see some pretty good sized dirt clods in there that didn't quite break up during the removal. So what we'll do is we'll run a plate compactor over everything. It'll smash all those dirt clods into the ground and be a nice flat surface. There's the plate compactor there in the background. Here's the wire mesh we're going to be using. They're 6-inch squares and they're 10 gauge wire. When you roll these wire mesh rolls out, it's crucial that you do it with 2 people, because if you don't have someone holding the other end down, it could spring up and roll up on you and prong you. The prongs could jab you because they roll up pretty quickly. So we got a good 6 inches, 6.5 inches, right around that neighborhood of depth. And the compactor's dropping it probably another 1/2 inch with that. So we got 8 feet wide, and this wire mesh is 5 feet, so we're going to have a nice overlap in the middle with this wire. Also, this retired inspector wanted dobies, so we put some dobies in there. We got the big dobies because it didn't matter in this case because we were 6 inches deep, so I knew we had the space. Yeah, the first thing I noticed the retired inspector did, he checked the ticket on the concrete truck, which is a good sign that he's done that before a few times. We wanted to make sure that the mix design was right, the batch time was right, the different batch plant, how long it was loaded, things of that nature. Make sure he had the right PSI. He was shocked when he did look at the ticket, though, because I beefed it up to 45. So he went, "Wow, this is unusual." So I had no more complaints and no more worries and no more inspections at that point. Once I beefed it to 45 from the 3250 requested. Well, here's your joiner. I already went through that with my cutter tool, and that goes down about 2.5 inches, which is definitely deep enough for a 6-inch slab, of course, because you really only need to go 25% depth. And what that cutter does is it breaks the aggregate. It separates the aggregate from one another so they're not overlapping anymore. Then we follow it up with just a 3/4 deep 1/2 inch radius. You could potentially just trowel over these joints after you run that 2.5er, and it will still crack on that straight line because the aggregate is separated at that point. And that's what you call a weakened plane joint. You can do those inverted as well. In other words, from the underneath, but that's a whole different story. A lot of people do those inverted weakened plane joints underneath by accident, and that could be dependent upon the grade or other obstructions underneath. So what we've done is we've bull floated with the magnesium 3.5 footer. We hit it with Big Blue. We hit it with the funny trowel. Walking edged it, maybe a little hand touch ups here and there, and then we broomed it with 50% horsehair, 50% nylon broom. That's what it looks like when you're done. Magnificent. Now we're cleaning up the excess dirt on the driveway. So a 1994 Caddy, I believe that was. The convertible. Here's the nice looking joints. Broke it up real nice and evenly. We're on a cold joint. We're not doweled into the other driveway, so I didn't really have to match up. Thank you for watching the video. If you like it, subscribe. If you want to get the latest and greatest as I roll them out, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. You'll get updates as I upload. Thank you. Have a nice day.